Hello, Rama Rama Pupodu. Hope all are good, having great life, healthy always, and happy always. Now let's go to chapter 45. Next part. At about 8 in the night, a big group of the cobbler devotees came to take him to their place. He passed through the streets in procession, joined also by many Brahmins of the town and the devotees who had accompanied him, and reached the spot fixed as the place for the people of the cobbler community. Here, the gathering that he met was unimaginable vast. He was given a seat at an open shed where the chiefs of the community performed his Pada Puja. Then commenced the program of darshan. The process may be compared to the tale of the locust and the granary. Each man, woman, or child of the community was individually presented to Ramdas, and since there were many thousands of them collected, the function of presentation slowly and regularly continued indefinitely. The Brahmin friends who had come with him freely mingled in the crowd of the so-called untouchables, rubbing shoulder to shoulder with them. They even accepted the prasad of parched rice distributed by the cobblers. Time flew past. The period allotted for the function, which was 1 hour, exceeded its limit. The crowd around him for a furlong was so thick that access to it was well nigh impossible. He consulted with some of the friends as to the hour of the night and learnt it was 11 o'clock. He was due, as arranged, at the temple at 10 o'clock. Where was the escape from the crowd when it was increasing in proportion minute after minute? He came to the edge of the veranda he occupied and saw before him the huge mass of humanity clamoring for more and more darshan. Suddenly he took a leap into their midst, as one from the deck of a boat takes a jump into the ocean, and passed through the crowds like a live wire. He wriggled, jumped, rolled, and almost swam through them. At last he reached the road and then flew like wind. But he was not going in the direction of the temple. He visited, at the request of a vakil, his house, and remaining there for a quarter of an hour, again raced through towards the temple. As he went forward, the whole mass of the cobbler community followed him. He reached the temple. A big gas light was at its entrance, and in a vast pandal in front of the temple were collected over 1,000 of people of the higher caste. He directly entered and passed through the crowd. He found them all inside expecting his arrival. He took his seat on a raised and decorated chair prepared for him. It was indeed a mammoth gathering. As he entered the place, the people of the cobbler caste also freely made their way inside and mingled with the Brahmins by taking their seats in between them. He was watching from his seat the wonderful work of God, which brought a people who were despised as untouchables in close touch with the intolerant Brahmins, and that too within a temple. The Brahmins turned their faces to each other, stuttered, stared, winked, and whispered. The situation was extremely tense. He simply smiled, witnessing the strange phenomenon before him. Suddenly, stillness and silence pervaded the place. As the saying goes, you could hear a pin drop silence. Such was the stillness that came upon the assembled people. On one side was standing the Haridas, who was none other than the headmaster of the local high school. His opening words were, "My tongue refuses its function at the sight of this unusually crowded audience. I must declare that I am having Vishwarupa Darshan. It is practically proof that the distinctions of caste, creed, and color are the offspring of utter ignorance. It is the Supreme Lord Himself manifest as all beings. I am blessed by the sight." This was all he said and closed his kirtan. These two incidents took the place close upon one another. Really baffle description. What peace and bliss, what freedom man can enjoy when he attains the vision of God in all creatures and things. He is a slave to false traditions that breed hatred and strife between man and man. Ramdas' day coming to a close, he and his friends started to depart. A motor car was engaged to take them to the railway station. The party took their seats on the motor car which stood at the entrance of Digambar Kulkarni's house. The devotees of the place crowded round the car to bid him farewell. Just when the car was about to start, the Vakil friend, the new convert to the path of devotion, hurried through the crowd and opening the door of the car, placed his head on Ramdas' feet. After a while, Ramdas raised him and he was found sobbing like a forlorn child. Gazing on Ramdas, he questioned between sobs, "Oh Swamiji, when shall I see you again?" The motor car moved and gathering speed ran on. Catching the train for Bombay, Ramdas with Janathan Pant traveled towards the great city. That's all folks. Let's see in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Puppodu.